Okay, let's call the March 6th meeting to order, please.
Pasanello.
Here.
Pater. Here. Person.
Here.
Snyder. Ramirez.
Here.
Leach.
Here.
Okay, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, next on the agenda is our invocation. We have Bishop Troy Smith here from the Church of Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you. Just want to say I really appreciate the service that you do for our community. The congregation that I directly have responsibility for has the town of Haymarket within it. So I do appreciate the service that you provide to our members as well. So, our dear Heavenly Father, we're thankful for this wonderful day that we've had today. We're thankful, Father, for the talents and for the gifts that we have, both temporal and spiritual. We're thankful, Father, for our friends and our families, and ask that Thou would bless them while we meet here tonight. We're thankful, Father, also for this beautiful country that we live in and for the freedoms that we enjoy. And we're thankful for the work of those that serve in the town of Haymarket and on this council tonight. We ask that Thy blessing be with them and their families as they serve here tonight. We bless that those that come and the discussions that are had here tonight are respectful and that all understand the perspectives of another, and that working together that the best decisions might be able to come to benefit those within the town of Haymarket. We're thankful, Father, again for the blessings that we have, and ask that Thou would also bless those that in need, that they might be able to find and have the resources that would help them to be happy and to contribute to this community. And when the time comes, Father, we ask that Thou would bless us, that we can return to our homes and find all well there as well. We say these things in the name of Thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you. Where Sean has. Okay. Next on the list, we got our business spotlight. We got the Peace and Laughter Holistic Boutique.
Hi. I'll follow after that wonderful blessing. My name is Cheryl Gianelli, and I am the owner of the Peace and Laughter Holistic Boutique, literally a stone's throw away, right across the way here on the Red House Ordinary building. You may have noticed me in the evening. I tend to leave the lights a little bit on to just kind of shine light. I am facing Washington Street. I had my business for many years. I traveled with it for quite some time. I also had a home studio, and it has been such a delight to be a part of the town of Haymarket. Got the notice that there was an opening on a Saturday night, called the realtor on a Sunday, saw it on Monday, and we were flying out to Sedona on Wednesday and signed the papers on the way to go there. And it has just been a wonderful journey. Did a soft opening, Haymarket Day, and as my husband said, just pull the Band-Aid off and see what happens, and then kind of went into soft mode and then opened about the middle of November. And it's just been such a welcome. I have customers walking in that are all sorts of things I hear throughout the day, like, I can't believe this is here, and wow, and now I don't have to go to Fairfax, now I don't have to go out to Front Royal, so hopefully that should make the council very happy too, because I am bringing people in to be able to visit the store. I am a type of store, and for those that aren't familiar with it, I sell a variety of, really you can call them tools, or I call them tools for the body, mind, and soul. So there are crystals, candles, all sorts of jewelry, and it's really what you want to make of it, or the customers want to make of it. If it's something that's just a really beautiful stone that they can have, or a candle that they like. The nice part is there is no, so to speak, age differential. I've got parents coming in with young children that are really excited about this, to people that have remembered their days of collecting stones, or I don't really call them rocks, but we'll call them rocks in this moment, when they were younger. And so it's been just, like I said, keep going back to the same word, a great journey. I hope to continue on, and my goal is, to make this, I literally live in Gainesville, so 6 miles away. But as people are coming in, they're asking me, where they can go eat, what else can they do in the town of Haymarket, those type of things. So I'm real excited to be able to also work with some of the other businesses and be able to promote that aspect of it. And that is my kind of elevator. It's not really complicated. But I would love to see you all there, and if there's something I can do to really be able to, again, help to support the town, I would love to do so. I'm here for the long run. So,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Welcome.
thank you. Thank you. Do I go back?
Okay. Before we move on to citizens' time, I want to see if there are any objections if I extend the agenda and add an item for recognition. Okay, we'll put that after the citizens' time. Good? Okay, well, we'll start off with citizens' time. Anyone in the audience want to speak?
This side of the dais in a while. Just to humor the town manager, Bob Weir, 6853 St. Paul Drive, not for long, right? Couple of things. One, I'm not going to stand up here and spend forever like some elected people do, half an hour, 45 minutes, or an hour. I just want to give you a quick update on a couple of things. The walking paths to connect the town to Heathcote and to connect the town to Somerset are now both fully funded. The one on the southern section should be done within the year. Unfortunately, the one for Heathcote is going to take about 18 months, give or take, to engineer, so don't be looking for that for the next 2 years probably. But the funding has been secured by the county, so they will be going ahead and doing that. Another fun topic, well, what a shock, Roberto's not here. Hi, Roberto. Be prepared for a significant increase in your assessments, just judging by what little information I've been given so far. So you're going to have to probably be careful with what tax rate you set, but I suspect we're looking at something similar to last year in terms of assessed value rises. Town should be getting that in the next couple of weeks. I haven't been given the numbers yet. For anybody interested, my office will be open supposedly Friday, but I'm not guessing until Saturday. Until then, you've got my phone number, but after Saturday, feel free to find us over there. For anybody that doesn't, I don't even know the address, but it's that last building on Heathcote before you get to 29, where economic development is. And then last but not least, like it or not, the town as a whole is now one of my constituents. And I'm not going to forget where I came from. So if you got a problem, feel free to call me. I'll do what I can. But the town of Haymarket is a significant portion of the Gainesville district. So please feel free to grab me, yell at me, tell me what you need, tell me if you need some help. And that's essentially what the job is. And I will pop in maybe monthly, maybe every other month, depending on what's coming up in the county, and try and keep you guys updated with things of interest, particularly to the town council in terms of monetary transactions, land use, that sort of thing. And I'm going to miss you guys.
Thank you, Bob. Do we have any emails or anything else for citizens' time? And no one else in the audience want to participate? Okay, we'll go to the next item then, which is the recognition. All right, here we go. I'd like to take this time to acknowledge and present a certificate of appreciation. Tonight, the town would like to say thank you to a man who has spent endless hours serving this town and our surrounding neighbors. Newly elected Supervisor Bob Weir was always present at town council meetings as a citizen and as a member of council, ready to discuss a variety of topics and always put the people of Haymarket first. He spent numerous hours at the Prince William County Board of Supervisor meetings, also as a citizen, defending and supporting the Haymarket community and fighting for the betterment of the town of Haymarket. The years of hard work, dedication, and passion for the prosperity of the town did not go unnoticed. During his recent term on council, Bob worked diligently with the town treasurer to produce a balanced budget that provided a real estate tax refund to our citizens in October. He also was a liaison to the Planning Commission and helped our town manager, Emily, with implementing a new zoning text amendment. Bob's knowledge of state code and his passion for Haymarket led him to the General Assembly, where he spent timeless hours fighting for the betterment of Haymarket and surrounding communities. His love for the town and the community led him to be a strong voice for Western Prince William County. His integrity, strive for government transparency, and fiscal responsibility has promoted him through the special election to serve on the Prince William County Board of Supervisors. This kind of passion and ethics is something all public officials should strive to emulate in doing the right thing for the town. Bob's commitments as town council member for multiple terms, his past participation as planning commission member and chairman, past council liaison for the planning commission, and his passion as a citizen at the podium and a member of council on the dais will be sadly missed. I think I can speak for everyone on the council that we hope to see him back at the podium during citizens' time, keeping the fire under our toes. I wish him well at his new position at the Prince William County as the Prince William County Gainesville Supervisor, and hope to see him often supporting town and county issues. He will be missed in our town, on our town council. The town would also like to thank Bob's wife, Diane. Thank you for sharing your husband with the town through all the late night meetings. Both of you have made a sacrifice for the betterment of the town, and the town has been lucky to have you. Please accept this small token and appreciation and gratitude. We wish you both luck and much success with the next season of your life. So, Bob.
Picture time.
Picture time. You love these moments, right?
You wore this to your sweater.
For once, you spoke longer than I did.
Yep. Picture time.
They're mandatory.
Oh, you want us all in? Yeah. You don't want to take the exchange first, or?
I'll just
Okay.
take a bloody picture.
Okay, now everybody.
You get to hold it. Now I get to hold it behind that. A little bit good in my hair.
Which one?
Yeah, which hair?
You're tall, getting back.
I'll get it back. Why not?
She's towering.
Nope, you're good. Thank you.
But you never made. You never made. It's not a one-person thing. It's you guys, it's the residents, I can't take credit for it. All I am is the obnoxious one who's wanting to voice everybody else's words. But thanks, everybody. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I better go get these home to Diane.
Just till you stop.
I end up in the chocolate car.
Just till you stop and pick them up and work.
Okay, now we're to the consent agenda. Any reports that people want to pull out? I'll start, Mary.
Hi, may I please pull the chief report, business liaison report, and my report, community outreach, please?
Good.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, I'd like to pull the town administration report. So it looks like 1, 3, or should I say B1, B3, C2, and C3 need to be pulled. So who can I get a motion from?
So just for clarity then, that recognition, was that number 6? Did we move that, insert that as a number 6? VI?
Or
Just insert it right after citizens time.
Okay, I mean, is it standalone or is it
It could be a standalone.
a VA or whatever, right?
VI?
I can do it just right in with citizens time.
Oh, right in with citizens time. Okay, fine, good. Thanks, Bob. Yeah. So that would be, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda items under section 6A, 1, 2, 3, B2, 4, 5, and C, 1, 4, and 5.
Second.
Okay, got a motion, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, then we'll go to the next item, the town administration report. Let me pull it up. I guess I'm the only one who has questions on that one.
Just to clarify, is Roberto actually with us? Hey, Roberto.
He is between our spotty internet and his spotty internet
Okay.
right now. Something must be going on, but he's with us.
Okay.
On his phone.
Oh, there he is, the disembodied voice.
Don't worry, he's here.
Very good.
Okay, on the RFP for sidewalk item, I saw in the engineering report that there was a meeting, 3-1.
Yes, sir.
So a little bit of detail about that. Just want to get some, what happened?
Absolutely. So on 3/1, I held a meeting with Thomas Britt, our town planner, as well as Katie McDaniel was on the line. We spoke with Dinar and his team regarding our current status. So they are at a 60% completion. They are hoping to have the 90% completion done in the next month. We discussed different items involving stormwater on surrounding properties, making sure that all the pertinent information was there. We also discussed doing a small change order for test holes for the gas utility. In previous projects, specifically the Jefferson Street project most recently, we had an issue with the gas line being a lot closer to the surface than what was originally expected, and thus that was a larger change order. So we're hoping to better mitigate that this time in construction and do the prep work and the engineering behind it by getting additional test holes done. So they will be sending over that change order here very shortly, and we will go ahead and approve that through the necessary channels. And we will keep in touch with them. Pretty much weekly we get updates, but we are hoping for that 90% completion in the next several weeks.
Okay,
Can I ask a follow-up to that?
please do.
Just for clarity and a better understanding, the gas company, when they, I guess, 811, when, we call to have the utilities marked, I'm just curious, can they determine the depth, or they just tell us where the location is and we have to figure that out?
To my knowledge, they tell us within a certain amount of feet on either side. They don't tell you exactly where it is. It's within about a 2-foot radius
Right.
on either side of the line, and they don't tell you the depth.
So they don't
Right.
know.
We had gone off of
Wonderful.
a older plan of what we thought the depth should have been in this other location. They thought that they had gotten it right. correct, right out here at the intersection, actually. And come to find out, that was not the case. So what happened was, in that specific location, we needed to put in a storm box and have that infrastructure sit at a certain depth so that it lined up with the curb and the street properly. And the line was in the way. So they had to come in and lower, and that is what took quite some time.
Right.
With those steel plates in the road for a good bit of
Yeah,
time.
what a pain.
Yeah.
So any idea what the cost of that change order is? And,
Not yet, no, we have not received that update yet.
okay, so Roberto will,
We'll bring it to finance as soon as we have it.
okay, and we do have contingency in there, right, Roberto? Very good, thank you.
Yes, I do. Is that all you have?
That's it, no.
Okay. My next item on this list is the Quiet Zone program. I saw in the police report that, he mentions the event that we had at the private crossing. I would like to request that that report filter into the activity that's going on with the Quiet Zone, or else have him come and testify to the danger of that, to include in the evaluation of this Quiet Zone.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's all I have on this report. Anybody have anything? Go ahead, Mary.
Thanks, Mayor. I was hoping to get an update on when we plan to install the park shade.
Yes, great question. Since our weather has been a lot nicer these days, I'm going to reach out and I'm going to request that we install it that first week of April timeframe.
Perfect. That's spring break for our Prince William County schools, so that would be wonderful.
So that everybody can get great use out of it and I don't have to close it for any amount of time during spring break, I will look to the week ahead then.
Okay.
Just so that I don't want to disrupt everybody out there playing and having fun, because we will have to close it for a couple hours.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And then last thing, please. I saw in your report that the farmers market applications are coming in. When will they be posted and available to the public outside of those vendors who participated previously?
So unfortunately, however, very fortunately, the town has received great response from our returning vendors from last year. So that means with our limited amount of space that we have in the front parking lot and the 40 space limit that we have for our farmers market, we are at capacity.
That's awesome.
So it is awesome. In a way, we're a little disappointed because we can't bring in new vendors right now. However, in order to kind of work with that, we do have drop-in spaces. So we will have 2 drop-in spaces available each Sunday.
Love it.
So throughout the season, we will still have that availability for our vendors to take that opportunity to drop into the space, try it out, see if it's a good market, good community for them. And then what we can do is for next year, we can decide what's the popularity and what is the best way to get applications out there. You know, how do we do it? Is it a raffle kind of thing, you know? And I will also just add to that I saw Town of Warrenton had the exact same thing happen this year to them as well.
awesome.
So I think that our vendors were very happy with what they had last year and the community that came out to support them. So everybody's very excited to return.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
That's all I had. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, anybody else? Okay. We'll move on to the next pooled report, the police chief report.
Yep, that's me.
Questions?
Thanks, Mayor. I didn't necessarily have a question for you, Chief, other than I wanted to highlight that I deeply appreciate the extra training you and Lieutenant Davis have done. I would love for you to maybe possibly explain what the Revive Train to Trainers course for naloxone, is that how you pronounce
Yes,
it?
ma'am, naloxone. Obviously, naloxone is a drug that's administered to anybody that's on an opioid overdose. I became an instructor, train the trainer. In other words, I can train police officers. about 6 years ago when it started becoming a real initiative. And I've maintained that training, but every 2 years you have to recert in the training. So I was able to recert recently. We do have a naloxone program here in the town of Haymarket, and all naloxone comes to us free, along with the carrying cases as well and the training. It's just the time that I have to invest in the training, that myself, and the training that I give the officers. And we are at 100%. All of our officers are trained on naloxone and carry naloxone.
And I just want to express my extreme gratitude that you took the time to do that, because our community, while relatively small, is not immune to those kinds of experiences. So it's important that we have that kind of training available to our department, and that you took that on to provide that. So thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And you're 100% right. We're not immune to any of that. Matter of fact, with our transient that we have, or transient people that come through here, especially with the sheets, it's very, very prone aspect of our job. So we're prepared. The guys are trained, and we're fully staffed, ready to go.
Well, I hope you never have to use it, but thank you.
I have, not here. Okay. I have, but hopefully I never have to use it again.
Yes, thank you. That's all I had.
Marshall?
Chief, I approached you after the work session last week about
A waste management
a
problem.
waste management problem, or a pet waste management problem, particularly between Blight Drive and, is it Green Hill Crossing Drive?
Yes, sir.
Do appreciate your immediate addressing of that, but with the warm weather, everyone's bringing their pets out. I know all the HOAs have a chronic issue with pet waste pickup, but seem particularly prone along there. So I discussed with the chief, maybe sort of the passive-aggressive way is to put up one of our message boards saying, a reminder that we have an ordinance about it and pick up poop. And but the alternative solution was the yard sale sign. So I appreciate.
Yeah, and we did discuss that, just so you know, and I think it was a very good idea. We were actually going to move forward with the message board, but we felt that the yard signs would be more aesthetically pleasing down there. And it was an investment that we know that we could easily move. There was a location down there for the message board, which would have worked fine, but there's some other locations in town where we might not be able to deploy it. So we decided to go ahead and invest in those signs that can be reused, of course. I didn't get them out as quick as I would have liked to. I had them ready for Friday, but my son had a little issue at school, so it precluded me from finishing that process, but they were first thing on my agenda this morning.
So let's be clear, the expectation is not to have police out there writing citations for dog excrement. It's more of just some general PSA announcements and
We
things
are
like that,
trying
so.
to smooth glove it, and that is not our process, as you know.
So-
Jake and I both, Lieutenant Davis and I both have been down there a few times, talked to some dog owners and kind of spread the word that way as well. And every owner was very receptive of us coming out there and talking to them and trying to educate a little bit. But we didn't witness any violations of Ordinance 6-13.
Well, it's interesting what brings residents together and gives them a reason to talk to each other, and that was one of the more recent things that we had in common to talk about. So thank you for the effort.
No, glad to do it, and we'll be monitoring that situation to see if we need to navigate different methods of compliance.
I am good, thank you.
Joe?
All right, since you opened it up, I will say that was the main topic of our HOA meeting on Thursday night. That was the killer. Anyway, I just want people to understand what our new chief has done for us relative to the DMV grant, and he won't admit it, but I think he and Roberto, especially though, the chief, spent many, many hours of his own time preparing all the information to submit to the DMV. And I just, I think it's important everybody understand your commitment, and I want to thank you for that. A lot of your own downtime, which you should have been relaxing on the weekend, you were doing and preparing all this stuff, so.
Well, no, sir, we had a deadline, and it's in my job prerogative, and I really don't mind. I enjoy it, and we just had to put forth the right effort to get the resolution that we're seeking. And I think we've done everything that we can to make sure that moves forward. I don't think we've left anything lay on the table. We answered every question. We gave every stat. We've went over the policy with fine-tooth comb, and I think we're in the best standing that we can be. Now it's just into DMV hands at this point. But I do appreciate your sentiment, and it's truly my honor to serve you and serve this town and its citizens. I enjoy being here. I really do.
Well, Thank you, Chief. I appreciate it too, and I think everybody does. I was interested to see in your report about Lieutenant Davis doing the background investigator and media relations training. Can you speak a little bit about that, media relations?
Yeah, it's always good to be handy, and he's trying to develop his skills. I'm sure that he would one day like to have this posting, and being able to not just answer the questions directly, but be informative when you're, as well as pretty much everybody in this room, when you're under the gun, when you're basically, you have a microphone stuck in your face and you've got to provide answers. You want to not just be ready, but you want to be articulate, informative, and not create more questions by your answers than you're answering. So he decided that he wanted to go to that school. Obviously, it was an advancement in his career, what he was looking for, and so I seen fit, and he went and aced it. Did a great job at the school. And of course, with our accreditation looming that we're working on, one of the standards that you have to prove is in your hiring process that you have somebody qualified to do those processes that you have in place, which is a background investigation. Now, I obviously am a background investigator myself, but the certifications for your compliance has to be in the year of your term. So my background investigation investigator's course has been back there 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. So I wanted to send Jake, so we would have the proof, have the standard, but also have him invest in that time for his career development as well. So that was the decision making and the thought process behind both of those.
Excellent. That's great. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Chief. I'm good.
Is that it? Okay, anybody else? Okay. Moving on to the Business Communication Liaison Report.
Yes. Sorry. Thank you. I noticed, I think it was your second bullet point there, was about the introduction to the business highlight for each meeting, and we got to see one of those in action now. What is your process for selecting that, so just so everyone out there knows?
So I'd like to highlight brand new or the newer businesses.
Okay.
And then kind of go through that and just make certain that everybody knows what businesses are in town and available. And then obviously, love to promote the Business Roundtable and invite them there.
Okay, awesome, thank you. That was, oh no, wait, one more, sorry. And I would love to highlight this restaurant week that you guys discussed.
So we are in preliminary discussions of Restaurant Week and what that might look like. So we've targeted at this point the possibility of the month of July.
Okay,
Tends to be a slower month for restaurants.
okay,
Ideally, what I'd like to do is have restaurants participate and as a town heavily promote that.
okay,
I would like to visit with the restaurants and see what they are willing to do and come up with, because every little organization town has a different concept. But yes, so that's what it is. I'm very excited.
that is
Very
really
excited. Yeah,
exciting.
Thank you for forwarding that.
Yeah, I love it. All right, that's all I had.
Anybody else have any questions? Okay, we'll move on then to the Community Outreach Liaison Report.
Hi, it's me again. Okay, so I am currently compiling, slowly but surely, HOA contacts. That's what I listed here, but I did have a few things pop up this past week since submitting that information to our clerk. I did want to highlight that the town was reached out to by Buckland Mills Elementary School to participate in or donate to their silent auction that they're hosting as a school. So I would like the council to possibly decide if we would like to do that, what we may want to donate, or if you would like to give me a directive to execute that. I would appreciate that directive. And then also, the mayor had received an email from Casa Brumar Foundation's Rise Up Scholarship, which is for LGBTQIA and their communities, which includes allies and advocates, where they can apply for financial assistance as they strive for higher education. And we were invited, or one of us were invited to participate in their meet and greet. But I think that they would be a great community highlight. I think the plan is to have them come next month. So that's really exciting that we have these things going on, and I would like to put it out there that if there's other organizations that have things like that, to please contact us. And then I did want to pose a question to council if we wanted to entertain possibly creating like a community updates page on our website, not just adding these things to social media, but just something that's continually refreshed. I know that might be an extra step for our staff, but I want us to discuss that option to see if that would be a best way to continually share this information.
Anybody want to give feedback? I think it's a good idea. I don't know how active we are at this point, but I do want to try to engage the community more.
Yes.
So I feel this would be good if you could work with the town clerk and the town manager to, I guess, identify whose role it would be under, because I do think we are looking for that in the full-time role that we have, right?
Absolutely.
And I guess we can work with Tracy Lynn on that as well, because we might be able to include business activities in it.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I definitely want it to be like a one place to access community business information. So if we can both compile a list through our efforts, I think that'd be a great resource for everybody. But I did want to see, would council like to offer a directive for like the silent auction, how we would like to move forward with that?
Well, we're privy to some of the ideas that were thrown at us, and it's been a while since I wrote it or read that. Do you have them off the top of your head on what some of the items
That they had requested?
that
I would
they
have to
said
pull up the email,
were
I'm sorry.
something that we could identify as something we can contribute to? It's kind of like, I don't know, be an honorary citizen at a town meeting or something of that sort. But if you guys have that on your emails, if you have easy access to it, you can kind of read off their.
Yeah, I can pull it up. While I'm pulling it up, another idea that I had, I don't know if they're looking for like gift basket type things, but what
Right.
we've done in the past is we've compiled some of our historic t-shirt ideas that we've done and some ornaments and the town historic book in an effort to kind of give a town basket.
Okay.
If you get buy-in from a couple of your restaurants, you know, you can also include that in there, and then it could be more of a community style basket where not only are we doing something, let's see, they
Directive would be yes.
stated.
Do you want to participate?
Okay, yes,
And then-
thank you.
They
Thank you,
say
Tracy Lynn.
we auction off items such as gift cards, gift baskets, merchandise, and services.
Okay.
Yeah, I think below that, they give some type of ideas on how we can, as a government.
Front row seating to a town's Christmas tree lighting or helping to light the trees. A tree named after the school or family with the highest bid on this item. Special spectator or partake in Haymarket Day, Christmas, or National Night Out, open to ideas.
So that gives you kind of something that, if you want to work with the town clerk and the town manager on.
Okay, so you would like, I have the directive from council to work on those specifics with, okay.
So when is this going to be? Do we know?
I want to say April, May. I'm sorry, there's a lot of dates in my head right now. I will have to
Okay.
pull up those
But it's
details.
it's nothing immediate.
It is not in,
It's on April 28th, which
April
is a
28th.
Friday. And it is Buckland Mills.
yes.
Thanks for pulling that up for us, Emily.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you. I apologize for not having that ready. Okay, so, thank you.
That means I got to talk to you about the UVA thing.
All right. Anybody else? No?
Is that it? You done with your messaging? Okay.
I'm done.
I'll try to do my best curmudgeon motion here. So with that consent agenda, I move that the consent agenda items B1, 3, C2, and 3 be approved.
Second.
Okay, motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Okay, now we're on to the next section, the agenda items. We got the town park building. You got a presentation handy, or?
So a little unorthodox, but something to talk to the mayor about and Emily about was revisiting the master plan. In the late 2000s, a little bit after 2010, the town put together a significant amount of effort trying to master plan this property and the park property with the turnover of, I'm sorry, turnover is not the right word, with the staff, new staff and consolidating systems and things like that. I think some of that institutional knowledge was lost. So I'm going to put my old planner hat on and offer some background on the park plan as context for our discussion tonight. So there's a PowerPoint that I. Okay. And for those that are listening, I said home, during this time period, I was the town planner and zoning administrator. Okay, here I am. There's Emily. Okay. Joe, David, Ken, I would appreciate if I get something wrong, correct me. So, okay. Around the 2004 timeframe, we both acquired the Hanover property, and we also acquired the town center property. The Hanover family approached the town about the property, and this was at the time that Mike Gorman was also proposing a phase 2 for Villages of Haymarket, which would have continued the pattern you see here in the north sort of east part of the screen of small lot single family homes. Around the same time as well, we were entertaining the sale of this property. There was a developer that wanted to come in and consolidate a number of buildings at the site, and this center was to be the replacement to that. We were going to consolidate police services, which I think at the time was in the Food Lion Shopping Center. We had services scattered throughout the town. And this was to be the initial site for that, and there were some initial concepts that were done in support of that. Interim uses since we bought the property, the food pantry was in the current structure for a number of years. When there was, I believe, a flood here, was it, David, at Town Hall, that we had used formerly the police building as staff offices, and at one point it was the police department. Next slide, please. So around the same time, we move away. We decline the offer to purchase the property. I'm sorry, can you go to the next slide real quick? I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, go back. So around 2000, we adopt a revised comprehensive plan, and specific to the Hanover property, we identified on the plan land use map as a public civic use. There's language or policy talking about to meet the social and recreational needs of the community at that park. The Lewis homes, we previously called these Sears homes, the mail order Sears homes. Through the research for the master plan, turned out to be Lewis manufactured homes, and they were listed as contributing resources in the town's historic district. And then as part of the overall plan for the property, there was an anticipation of reusing those homes in some capacity as part of that future plan. Next slide, please. So, again, this sort of active period between around 2005 and 2015, we declined the sale of the town center property. We initiated the town center master plan around 2012. We also went ahead and put monies into restoring the whole fish in the post office, old post office, moved the Haymarket PD. I think we moved it behind us, and then we moved it over here, and then we opened up the building behind us. So there are a number of key decisions to invest in both the properties for public use and then the retail properties that we own as well. Once that plan was adopted, we switched gears. Okay, we've sort of abandoned the consolidating services at the park. What is the new vision for the park? And that's when we came up with the 2016 master plan. Some sub points here. Food pantry around the same time that we did the master plan. We did some similar assessments of the structure at the time. In the food pantry, interestingly enough, because of the weight of the food that they were holding in the structure, Joe Barbo, our inspector at the time, went in and actually had to instruct them on some remediation to move the food to the sides because there was some concern about the foundation being able to hold the weight. Interim improvements, majority of the improvements to I guess we're going to call it the pantry house, the house that we have up there now. A lot of it was done through volunteer work as part of the pantry. The Mormon Church came in, I think, painted the exterior. A lot of the HVAC was done by the food pantry. A lot of the initial interior work was done by the food pantry. After the Hair-Over plan, we've done some foundation work. I believe the roof was replaced. We did some foundation work in the back. Also tried to remediate some of the flooding in the cellar. So, I'm sorry, can you go back one slide? So another thing after 2016 as well, after the plan is adopted, we sort of accelerated some of the improvements. Now, the master plan did not include the sidewalk. That was a later on add-on. But with the park, the proffer that was part of QBE, when there was the playground that was there was discontinued, it put a renewed interest in using the town hall property, actually the town park property, to have a playground facility. And that's what advanced sort of the playground ahead of the master plan. Okay, those are some bits of information. Okay, moving forward. So the 2016 plan, am I allowed to come off the dais and point? Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. So key components.
Do you want to stand here and clip?
Take a portable mic. You give him your mic? Okay.
Thank you very much. So key components. Now mind you, there was, in early 2015, there was some pretty substantial concepts that went from scorched earth to a recreational pool to a regional facility. It was quite the gamut or range of types of uses. It was tailored down to smaller scaled uses for the town, and I'll go through those in a minute. But the final plan that was in 2016, key components was the house was retained as a park services building to be used as bathrooms and storage. A pavilion, this was about 3,000 to 4,000 square feet, about 100, 150 people. This originally in concept was down in front of the property, but it was thought to bring it to the top. Playgrounds, this was a volleyball field. Parking, there was, obviously we have 2 entrances now. There was some concern about having multiple entrances. The decision was to match against Haymarket Station and use this as an emergency access. So we developed the internal circulation, and we had the parking area, which more or less aligns with what we have now. An amphitheater, there was some, oops, what happened? Down in the kind of the low end of the property was be a stormwater pond, and there would be sort of a stage, sort of take advantage of the slope of the hill and build an amphitheater into the hillside. And then trails, we had a trail system that was around, a signage system. This was supposed to be a 3-year or 3-phase plan over a 10-year period at a cost of about $2.1 million. The years 1 through 4 was parking, doing sub-programming of the house, facilitating the parking. Years 4 through 7 was a focus on the pavilion, also looking at internal access from the church. Obviously, since then, we've moved, what was to be the park to the top of the project, and that was out of concern at the time. We didn't have a sidewalk or a fence, and there was concern about people coming into the property. So those were the key elements: parking, access, the pavilion, the house, and then the trail system. So, okay, next slide, please. That's me, sorry. Okay. Exhaustive amount of time that was put into getting input from the community, our various advisory committees, and as well as the town council. And the consultant had also done some research as well. Interestingly enough, this was sort of an elevation. The former police station is the highest point in Haymarket. And so a lot of the design sort of broke it up into 3 phases. You sort of had your public facing on the front, you had your hilltop view, and you sort of had your neighborhood view on the back side of the property. So next slide, please. Something that the consultant was able to provide was to do some background history, and I don't know why I keep saying that. It was determined that actually the Jordan family has a long history in Haymarket. They were some of the original owners of the Haribo property. It was also determined it was not Sears Homes, that these were Lewis or La Natello models by the Lewis Manufacturing Company, established in 1922, and again was just sort of the indicative of the development patterns at the sort of the early 20th century. So that was sort of an interesting sort of takeaway, was that we had always called it the Sears Homes, and they're actually Lewis Homes. And that is, next slide. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry guys. It's been a long day. Too many masters today. This sort of gives you the extent of the evaluation. So we had an alternative A, which was the scorched earth, more of a central park, gardens and events. We had another alternative that was a central community center and also a meeting space. Alternative C was a larger community center with a fitness sort of component. And there was sort of the breakout of each of those elements. And each committee went through and sort of methodically weighed in on the pros and the cons and things that they favor, did not favor as part of that overall plan. And then there was an alternative that led to the final plan, which was to not retain both homes, but to get rid of one home and keep the other. That home was purchased and moved over as Cookies and Cream. The building was determined not to be a program space, but a storage space and a future bathroom, public restroom space. But this is just indicative of the extent. So all this information I've provided, I was able to go data mine and bring it back up and give it to Emily. So a lot of this, again, it's exhaustive, but it's a lot of information on how we came to our decision. So fast forward, we get through the PC, ARB, and the public. Why do I keep doing that? And you can see, too, where we went through each of the committees, went through and sort of gave their feedback on each of the components, and this is just one page from that exercise. Again, available for everyone after the meeting. Get to the part of the consideration is what to do with the two buildings. You have the model that's on the left. You have some SketchUps of the former police building and the food pantry, and how could you effectively utilize one of these spaces. And so there was some money or some thought that was put into that, specific to the pantry building, upgrading in place to making it usable at the time. This is 2015, was $142,000. To pick it up and move it on site and consolidate with the other building was estimated at $247,000 at the time. The other question that came up was, what about replacing with new? And that's the next slide. One was pulling back the rear addition. If you're standing on the property, you sort of have that outlier addition in the back. So this was the concept of jettisoning the rear addition, keeping the meeting space in front, turning the front bedroom into an admin space, and then turning the rear rooms into outward-facing accessible restrooms. And then that's the kitchen area, and there was, I believe, some other storage in the back. The alternative to build a similar size space was also vetted, more of a continuous space, and that was the design that was vetted there. And then you see the two costs that were in the estimates between keeping what we have and refurbishing it, or building new.
And that space was enclosed or not enclosed?
What's that?
The second one?
Yes, it would be an enclosed space, basically a replica of the old building. And those were the two estimates at the time. So with all that information that was presented, we did a matrix for the council. And as you see on the sides, we went through each of the elements of the plan. What was its relationship to the comp plan? What did the public have to say? ARB, PC, and then the town council. Ultimately, the directive was to sell or salvage, or we call it when you architectural salvage the police station, keep the food pantry. And at the time, the direction was from the council, remove additions and maintain the original structure for restrooms and a storage facility. Now when you go through these materials, assuming that we continue the discussion later on, there was a range of opinions on recommendations on how to utilize the two buildings. But what it came down to was keeping the one for the meantime and jettisoning the other. So that's all I have. So again, I've provided all those materials to Emily. Next slide. So at Loudoun County, when we do public presentations, we have to have a public presenter, and we have to always go next slide. It's like in my repertoire. So a lot of information in a short period of time, but I talked to Emily and Roberto and others to say that obviously, well, we'll get into that discussion later. This information is available for you. Thank you for your time. I can happy to answer any questions. If I can't answer, I'll see if Emily can answer.
Any questions? Nope. Thanks, Marchant.
Yep.
So,
Do you want me to start?
feel free.
I think that the biggest question, we have to narrow down, but I think our biggest question is what next? To take one of Joe's favorite phrases, form follows function. I think that one of the most important elements that we start talking about in this discussion is what is the long-term function of the building going to be? And is that still what our community would like to see that space turn into? I know, Marchant, you were saying that this was originally done in the 2015, 2016 eras when we started talking to the community. That's now been, almost 8 years. So I think we need to update that information and make sure it's still, when we're talking about exactly how much money we're going to spend on it, it's going to be a multi-million-dollar project. We need to make sure that this is still important for our community. So that's one of the things that I would like to address with council is how are we going to determine the use and what it will function as. One of the key elements that I see missing from the property today is adequate parking. Even on a very nice day with the playground up there, that small gravel parking lot is full. And people are parking in the grass. We have overflow parking happening on other properties. So far, everybody's been a great neighbor and they've accepted that and they've dealt with it, but we should not be burdening our neighbors with parking issues. We need to set the example. And so parking is a key element that we really need to work through and determine what's adequate and what's not. And if something arises that we need to do shared parking, that's a different discussion. So that's one of the key items to also discuss through. And really set the priority. As I mentioned last week, we're starting this week to get some quotes, get some ideas on what it'll take to get the first floor of the museum up and running so that that space can be a community space that's rented, something with a policy in place, an application, a signed agreement. So we are working on that. I hope to have that up and going sooner rather than later, but we're going to take our time to make sure that we're getting everything in place, right down to a security deposit to make sure that the space stays, clean and upkept. So we will work on that and we will report back the data that we receive from it on who's renting it. Is it an adequate space? Does it provide, the service that they need, the level of service that they need? Are they looking for more? How often are they asking to rent it? How is the news spreading? So we will definitely do our part and gather that data. We can reach out in other ways, but we need to poll our community, and council needs to think through what's the best way to do that. I don't, from experience in the last year here, I don't recommend that a survey through SurveyMonkey is an adequate response. It's just not working. We've tried it on a couple different topics, and with this one being so important, I don't find that it's going to be a useful time and effort there.
Anyone have any comments?
I have some thoughts on this, but I'll wait till
Go ahead,
Oh, thank
Vice
you.
Mayor.
So, the original estimate was from 2015.
That's correct.
Correct?
Correct.
Okay, so that's a span of
Can I ask Marchant just a quick question? Did that include engineering services, full site plan engineering, or was that just construction
The
estimate?
2.1, I believe, included the engineering services and an initial estimate, but it was a very rough estimate at the time.
Okay.
So, but again, it did not include the sidewalk, which was a big question. At
Okay.
the time, the sidewalk was estimated between like 400 and 700,000, I believe, additional cost to the overall project.
Okay.
The thinking being, why would you have a park without a sidewalk to it? So,
So I would be, like, obviously 8 years between inflation, supply chain, supplies in general, there's going to be a cost difference there. And then along with the added deterioration from the last 8 years, that would be a concern of mine. As far as what that equals in cost, that's all.
Right. I think the first thing we need to do is definitely identify the function. Once we get that, then we could really target what the pricing is on it.
If I may, Emily, since as the community outreach liaison, and if council is in agreement with this, maybe we can work together to create some sort of informational flyer to send out to HOAs and ask that, like, they send it out to their, like, homeowners. And then I can volunteer myself to attend a meeting at each HOA to address these concerns, and maybe we can set up one night where, like, our homeowners that don't have an HOA, maybe we could make a specific event flyer for them to come to town hall and speak with one or two of us. Like, obviously, I will be happy to be here, but if somebody would like to join me for that night to ask these important questions of our constituents, maybe getting them to, like, physically be here and see our face and ask us questions, and we can show them, you know, we can, after we review everything that Councilman Schneider had shared with us today, we can sit here and be like, this is where we're at now. Where would you like to see us move forward? And I think that would, since SurveyMonkey really hasn't served us well, maybe that's the best effort, is to, like, include people as, like, an invitation. And, you know, the HOA meetings, obviously they're going to get emails from their homeowners if they can't be there. So they would have representation that way, at least. Maybe we can get buy-in that way. What does council think of that option?
Two quick notes to add. Our next newsletter also will be going out at the end of the month, so we will grab it in there as well.
Okay.
Whatever we put out. Second idea, you know, we could meet them here, but we can also meet them at the park. We can pick a nice Saturday and we can post up that it would be a special meeting. More members of council can come. You know, sometimes people come when you have something else there, whether it's an ice cream truck or, you know, donuts, right? People come for different reasons. But if they're bringing the kids up and they want to talk, and we can ask them, what do you envision this space looking like? Sometimes they're going to speak more freely if they're standing there outside in more of a neutral location than an intimidation of coming in here before a board. So we can also explore different ways and places to meet them at.
I love that idea. I think that I would support that. What would the timeline look for planning execution and then evaluating that?
So I'd imagine for me, I would need at least like a week or two to make sure I have all the HOA contact information. And then it would be determined by their meeting schedule, obviously. So it could range, because I'm assuming with the spring, they at least have 1 or 2 meetings coming up soon in the next 4 months, I'd assume. So I could hopefully hit them within 6 months. I'll hit them all.
Whether we could plan something maybe at the park specific to
Yes.
that.
And
within
in,
that timeframe.
correct. And in that time frame, if we have that museum space going as well for a rental option, we'll have some data there, and we can ask those organizations as well, not just the residents, but some of those nonprofit and other organizations.
I guess dealing with a time constraint, I know a good chunk of the money that we plan on investing here is through the proffers of the townhouses. What what time constraint do we have on spending that? Do you know what kind of spans of time?
It's, there's a number of years, I want to say 10. Does it sound right, Marchant?
So we're not really limited then, so we could always drag this on, but I'm sure Marchant doesn't want to drag it on.
And
Paralysis by analysis, I think, is his terminology, so.
one key element to also keep in the back of our minds as we talk through this, 6 months, we can get a lot of information, but that's also 6 months that that building is sitting there. And it needs to, we need to ensure it's being maintained and its current status, or what are we going to do in that interim to make sure it doesn't fail further? It's another layer, which we can talk about further in work session. We don't have to belabor the conversation in depth tonight. If you guys have questions or have topics that you want more information about, we can certainly come back to the drawing board.
Really liked your presentation, thank you.
Problem. Do you have anything for I?
No, go ahead, I'm listening.
So I can't help but feel the sense of urgency that we have to move, not in a hurry, but the sense of urgency and the fact that, you know, as a resident, when I both had my children, I had hoped to have that park realized before my kids were in college. And at the rate we're going, my first kid's going to be in college and my second one's going to be on her way there. So I think we've held this property for 20 years. Any number of reasons why we've sort of the process has stagnated. But as I said last week, we have 400 to 450 new residents that are coming in within the next 12 to 18 months, if not already here. We have the construction on our perimeter that are not going to acknowledge the town boundary, that we have people that are going to want to use these facilities. We have a deficit of park space. So my assessment, we're going to need it all. We're going to continue to need the government functions of this building and the police department. We're going to need the museum, if nothing else, hopefully go back to what the historic, was it the historic preservation, the Haymarket Preservation, whatever the group was that established that. We have all those relics up there that we had hoped to display if we get the amount of interest that we're getting in the town, both from our travelers, from the hotel, and new residents, that we can program it back to what it was meant to be. But even that space has its limitations. It's small and only has one bathroom. You know, with the park, I agree, the sense of urgency. This is somewhat of a situation of our own doing in terms of the building in the shape that it's in. We've done some sort of Band-Aids in the past, but to continue to let it sit, I think is only going to make it even more expensive to do. I have to think that there's some sort of interim solution for that space if we do decide to go forward with it. Point being, I still think there's a demand for that facility, whether it's a meeting facility, something we use at special events, something that park goers use. But I agree, the interim, in other words, if we have to restart the whole park program again, it's going to kick us out another 3 to 5 years. There has to be, point of bringing up the plan tonight is let's not put that effort to waste. Let's reaffirm whether or not these key elements that the community supports. And as part of a flyer or part of the newsletter, do you just hit those highlights? This plan was in 20s. Here are the key components of those projects. Here's sort of the estimated programming of each, and get the feedback and see if that's the case. If there is an interest in keeping that building or a new facility, then what does the interim state mean? I think we could come up with that, either a shared parking plan, having to do temporary parking up there because we have a lot of green space that's up there. So I feel like once we get that guidance, we can move forward on. You know, as a council member, seeing that need coming up, we have an influx of funding that we haven't had before. We have proffer dollars. We have ARPA funds. But we have the ability to step in where we haven't had before, where we don't have to touch the tax rate. Based on Lewis's estimates, or Mr. Sublet's estimates, you know, it is within range with some of the proffer monies that we already have. Obviously, the devil's in the details, but I think, you know, using that space, a very utilitarian space, that you give out key cards to go in, we tie cleaning to our current service contract. I believe all those sorts of details that we can get into. But I do feel the need that, you know, time is now to make some sort of interim steps. And ahead of doing a final engineered plan for that site, we have to do something with the house. But I realize, too, we don't want to put good money after that. As the ARB liaison, thank you for indulging me. As the ARB liaison, I do have some concerns of what it means to remove the building. Again, we have a demolition by neglect ordinance. Again, somewhat of a situation that we put ourselves in. I know during the Payne Lane House, when that was being appealed to the council, one of the arguments that was made at the time was, hey, the town has done a lot of this restoration work, but the counter argument was the town was uniquely positioned to do it at a lower cost and at a different pace. And so I feel like we are now the stewards of the most contributing resources to the town, and that we have to be deliberate. If the idea is to bring that building down, we have to be careful, because I think we lower the bar for what is justification to remove our remaining contributing resources. And I do have folks that have come to me and say they see dollar signs in all our remaining structures, and see dollar signs with them coming down and what is being built in their place. So I do feel there's an opportunity for a cliche win-win-win, where we can set the example, lead by example, and adaptively reusing these buildings, provide the public service that we need, come up with an interim sort of use plan that allows people to get access to that building. Obviously, we need to get the town center plan done and get the town sidewalk or the park sidewalk underway. But I'd hate for us to lose momentum and then have this project be, sort of stagnate again for another 3 to 5 years, and then, we're left having to catch up. So I thank you for indulging me on those points. I'm sorry, on Lewis's, one of the things I had talked about looking at the report was ADA access. I had asked before, what does it mean not be ADA compliant? That had to do with, I think, the width. Because I had asked, can a wheelchair get through those spaces? Yes, a wheelchair can get through some of those door frames, but today's standard would be a wider door frame, I think is what they had said. So there would be some challenges. The other part is we have a great example. We've picked up Cookies and Cream. We've picked up the same house, moved it, and opened up that space. So we have some example of how, if we need to open up the space and make it more user-friendly for some sort of meeting venue, we have an example readily available that we can go see and how that's done, although that would require some additional engineering and some additional time to get that done. So, okay, now I'm done. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Mayor, may I ask a question?
Feel free.
For the Cookies and Cream home, didn't they create an entirely new foundation for that? I'm assuming they put it on top of a new foundation.
Yes.
And right now, what we're finding is the foundation, or like the basement portion of this home, it needs significant repair. So, I feel like it's kind of a slightly different scenario, because I don't know, if I were to buy a home, I wouldn't buy one with foundational issues.
So with that one, what we did with the post office is actually they suspended it. They put it on beams, redid the foundation, and just set it right back down.
Okay.
But there, it's a cellar. It's not other than just sort of putting your boiler and other HVAC, it's I'm not an engineer, but I'm saying we do have, I think there's an ability to stabilize it in place and redo the foundation and not have to.
Or move it.
Yeah.
You can move it and bring it back.
Yeah, you can do that too. So we've done it.
Thank you.
So you got enough for next steps?
Before you go to next steps,
Okay.
let's just talk a little bit more about this thing. There were 2 other alternatives, if I remember right, thinking back in history, that were part of that plan. So I think it would be very helpful for people to see those as well, and to see the price tags on those, because they were quite large.
Upwards of $4 million to $5 million.
And one was over 7, if I remember. I appreciate the fact that Lewis provided us a cost estimate. I think it's very ambitious, because I'm not seeing a lot of design, engineering costs, construction management, all of those types of things that are associated with going out to bid and designing the improvements for this building. So I'm not sure I would rely too much on that, although we do appreciate them doing that. And if you look at the IMEG report, I'll just read this. All repair recommendations are generic in nature and based on limited visual observations. If a repair program is implemented, a licensed contractor experienced in the type of repairs to be performed should be engaged, and portions of the structure that become exposed while the contractor is performing the repair should be reevaluated by a licensed design professional. And I've worked on a couple of houses that were money pits. I'm not going to make a conclusion here about this building. Personally, I'm starting to think that that building just doesn't fit on that property as a park, but that's just my opinion. We're going to evaluate this. We can go through the process. But that gives me a great pause about the unknowns. And frankly, when looking at the IMEG report, particularly the structural side, I don't know how you do it for that price. We're talking major excavation. We're talking about not just the CMU walls, but perhaps doing a poured foundation, strip footings around the perimeter of this building. That's just a start. So I think putting a lot of weight on these numbers right at this point, it's really, I don't think, fair to a decision. So that's my only comment on that. But I'm certainly willing, and I agree that, we should go out to the public and get some feedback. What does the public want to see? I mean, it was a very expensive plan that we went through. It was more unconstrained back then, if I remember right, a real unconstrained view of what we could do and what we couldn't do, because funding is a key issue too. And you said it yourself, you don't want to throw good money after bad. I'm concerned about what I hear when I hear interim improvements, because I'd like to know exactly what we've invested in this structure already. And I think it's considerable. Roof, other repair work.
Roberto
Well,
also has
Roberto,
his hand
maybe
up
that's something
to-
Roberto can look at
Roberto has his
and
hand.
bring back to us what those costs are. So we have a better understanding.
I'm not aware of any costs, I mean, just maintenance costs, but nothing big. It was all done by the food pantry. Yeah.
We did some of the foundation work.
How much did we spend on the charrette and the design or the concept for the park?
Roberto was it like 17 grand, 18 grand?
Okay. Right, and there was also an issue with the foundation and some of the beams. JES did a bunch of work under Chris Kuhn when he was a town manager as well.
And we also had, I mean, Roberto and I could go in and pull a report of the last 5 years, but more recently, we had an air conditioning issue which caused a major leak in the back bedroom, or back room. And so a lot of that drywall was wet, damaged, and actually came down. So we had to have that looked at a time or two. We had the sump pump issue with additional basement flooding over the course of the last several years. I believe back when Jerry Shiro was here, we had some issues with frozen pipes. The roof was replaced. And then most recently, the foundation work. And that was not all of the foundation work. That was a portion, a quick fix for the issue that we had at hand.
And to be honest, let's be fair about it. When you're comparing alternatives, both are going to have operating and maintenance costs, right? But if you have something newer and with, I guess, new kind of design and techniques and materials and what have you, it might be cheaper, it may not be. We just have to run the numbers and better understand it. So there's a lot of work to be done, I think. I think doing it too quickly is going to be a mistake. We need to move with a purpose, yes, but I don't think you're going to make a decision in the next couple of months. I'd be surprised, but maybe. I could be wrong.
Do you have some follow-up, Marchand?
No, I guess what gives me pause is these are not, people are always going to argue new construction is easier and faster to maintain. I think the challenge as our community is that we have, as a community, as a historic district in the region, these are not insurmountable issues. These are issues that are plagued with all the structures, and how do you do them? And again, I can't help but feel like some of this is of our own doing. My training and my job talks about looking at ordinances and policies, and I feel confident that we do have enough support to look at keeping a community center on that property. Whether it's new or old, whether it's new that matches the architecture, all the houses along Blight were asked to match the architecture of the Craftsman Sears home. So we're always going to run into that argument. It's easier to go new, but I understand it has to be a reasonable expense. I felt like we led when we had these two houses here, far worse condition, and we were able to bring them back, and from day one, we've had them occupied, and that's a different story. That's return on investment, and we're getting, rental monies that help us offset that cost. But I have to feel like that once we start showing an interest in these sorts of things, the interest will come, but it has to be at a reasonable cost. So none of these, I guess, these issues are unique to the town or unique to those buildings, and there's people that specialize in doing these things all the time. I guess, and I agree with Joe or Councilman Passanello that we need to be deliberate about it, but I'd hate for that house to sit unused indefinitely, and then we have these needs start to arise. So I guess how I see this going forward, Mr. Mayor, is if we're able to, in the newsletter or through the community organization or liaison, be able to highlight the key elements of that plan, sort of solicit opinions on what do people see out of that property, happy to do that. If the idea is to retain the public space, but not old construction, new construction, I think we need to weed that out too. I think the estimate for a new structure of equivalent size was about 250,000 a square foot, which would be well over 475,000, I think, to build that size facility brand new, and that significantly increases the cost. So if there's a way to deliver, some service sooner at a reasonable sort of expense and maintenance, I think it's worth going for. I would like to see us go into the fall still sort of languishing over this decision, and hopefully we can do it sooner rather than later. So,
Anybody else want to comment?
Okay. My only comment would be direction forward.
Oh,
but,
okay.
I'll let you guys.
You'll let us argue offline?
Well, I'll let you guys argue. You have any more comments?
Well, actually, I do. What we saw in Lewis's report is just his idea of what it might be.
Yeah.
So the issue is we have to make the decision on what it's going to be. And again, it gets back to function. What are the functions? And if we're using other spaces in town, we might be able to alleviate that and do other things at the park. So, but I'm not sure where you got your numbers from, 250,000, you're talking 250?
$250 a square
A
foot.
square foot, okay, depending on what you're building. Depends on what you're going to build. Is it a closed structure? Is it an open structure, open air? That's a possibility. I mean, again, it gets back to function. And what other facilities that we have, these other assets that are non-performing assets, what are they doing for us? And what are they doing for the community and for those outside the community? Although I think we still pay more taxes than those folks who are outside.
You have a question, a comment, Emily?
Kind of a comment for council to think about. I would also kind of challenge you guys to think through over the next couple of weeks, what's an adequate response from the community? We can all do our very best. We can pretty much go knocking on doors, but what's going to be the right response level for council? Is it 50% of the community saying yes or no and giving an answer? You know, how do we determine that? And we just want to make sure that we're getting the information you need and getting it to the right people.
Yeah, and I guess with all these comments, my direction would be, you know, we got to hit function first. We got some good matrices from this report. We need to refresh what everybody's opinion is. Maybe we want to simplify this matrix a little bit, put priority ideas on it, you know, for them to rank which idea they like the best. We can throw it out there. From that, we can at least gather something to make a decision on for function. I think that'll be the quickest way of doing it. So that's the direction I was thinking of going, giving staff. I don't know if there's any feedback from you guys.
No, actually, just want to go back to what Mary was talking about and trying to get some feedback from the HOAs and those who aren't in HOAs. And you could get some really good information to start there. And, you know, what exactly do you want to see? And then you can feed that back and get some ideas.
Yeah, but you need to organize thought, and
Yeah.
I think we've already done that, and we can reuse this information that we've done in the past to organize it, and I think that would give you some type of guideline on where to go. Do you feel that's enough for direction?
I think you have to be careful with reusing some of the old stuff. You might want to refresh some of that, too.
Well, yeah, you'll need to refresh it. You'll also need to leave open space for them to say, hey, what options do you think might be worthwhile? Right?
Yeah.
But at least this is a structure that we can work off of and increase our, or should I say, decrease our time for decision.
So, Joe, I agree with the pricing outdated, I agree with that. I agree with the assessment is that, again, the key components, do we still want to see an amphitheater? Do we still want to, the playground's already there, and the sidewalk's already decided? You know, that to me would be that, what are the, you know, do we agree? Because I think some of the discussion, well, Louis' suggestion was, well, jettison the house, build public restrooms in a pavilion and combine that. Is that the general support? Do you combine those elements? So that's,
Yeah.
I was thinking reaffirming it with the community is not so much going over the numbers again, it's, do they still, are those are key functions that they want to see at the, you know, at the park?
Yep, and then we
Restrooms.
added new things like the garden. So we got to make sure the community, they feel the garden needs to stay. Is that secured?
Yeah.
Things like that. Does that help you out?
Yes.
I'll save it for the next discussion.
Yeah, I would like to make a better decision. You know, if people had money in front of it, they could at least say, oh, well, this would be better because I don't want to spend that kind of money. But then you're driving it with money, and I don't want to drive function with money. So, we all good? Last, any questions from staff before we close that out?
No, sir.
Okay. Let's move on then. Where are we at here? Resolution, the budget amendment. Roberto, please give us details. Any questions for Roberto? Do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion. I move that the Haymarket Town Council approve an appropriation to the fiscal year 2022-2023 budget as designated on resolution number 2023-003.
Second?
Okay, got a motion and a second. Last chance for discussion items.
Sorry, who made that second? Thank you.
No discussion. Put it up for vote.
Fasenello?
Aye.
Baker?
Yes.
Snyder?
Yes.
Ramirez?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, Roberto. Now we go to the Police Department Annual Report.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I asked this item be placed on the agenda mainly for Q&A and just advisement of it. Obviously, the document speaks for itself in the four corners. But I think this report, which should be the first of every annual report that I file, includes, reporting our community outreach, transparency not only in police process, but in the budget, departmental and officer thought process, along with departmental vision, knowledge of our local government, and the accomplishments that we've done over the last 17 months and 1 week. And so I think it reaches all those. There might be some other earmarks that you all decide that you would like to see in an annual report, but I wanted to give you the opportunity for questions and thought and response on the report itself.
Any questions? Tracy Lynn, Vice Mayor, please.
Yes, ma'am.
I love this report. I thought it was great, and though we see everything that you do throughout the year, it was really nice to get this snapshot and kind of put it all in place in the categories, so thank you very much.
No worries. Glad to do it. Like I said, I hope it hits all the marks that you all would like to see in a report. I don't feel it's too overdone. I think it's kind of right down the middle of what the public would like to see or might relate to. We will have copies of this, hard copies, in our lobby and our new information center as well very soon. We'll also have it posted on social media for anybody that wants to review it.
And I'm assuming our administrative staff could use our webpage to point to those social locations.
Yes. And Chief can upload it on his side of the website as well?
Okay. Joe, you have a comment?
I'm going to make it very brief. Again, I agree with Vice Mayor. This is a great report. But I just want to highlight pages 13 and 14 of the report, or packet page 72, 73. This is what a chief of police does for the town of Haymarket. He took on a lot of tasks. He's got a really great team, and they accomplished a lot in the last year. And I just want to commend you all for doing that. And I think a lot of folks don't see what's happening behind the scenes. You've established some real great protocols and policies and procedures, and I think you should be commended for that.
Thank you, Councilman. I would also like to offer that it's a team effort. We do have a good team, a great team back in the PD, but that team extends to this room as well. It is great to work with the people that I work with, Roberto and Kim and obviously Emily. I mean, who could not love working with her? Just great people, and then to have the full support. And I've mentioned this before in a previous meeting, to have the full support of the council in each and everything that we want to do in the best interest of the community. So when you look at those accomplishments, which is not everything, those are just the more noteworthy ones that we need to put forth, and the effort that was behind them. It was a team effort, and like I said, it's not just in the PD; it's out here as well. And we have great things planned moving forward. Next year's report will be fun-filled, packed, so to speak. So again, I appreciate all your all's support.
Done. Thank you.
Chief, on that point, is there an opportunity in the report, I guess it's already done, but in the report to say sort of goals for 2023, 24?
Now that you bring that up, I should have included that. I mean, obviously, we've been working on accreditation, and that's really coming to the forefront. What we've been doing in the last portion is prepping for that, is getting everything in place that needs to be in place. Obviously, before you can prove something, you have to be doing it right and have the policy set up behind it. And you can't just flip a switch and make that happen. You know, you have to put the process in and then start going through the process. So that's a huge part, but I should have offered that, and I can assure you that I will offer that in next year's report, and I will send out our goals and objective for this year. We do have them for this year, and obviously that's also an accreditation standard, is that you have to provide goals and achievements that you want to happen within your next year, each term. And we post those on the board back there, so the guys get to see them every day when they walk in. Just like our organizational chart, everything that they need to know is right there. Thank you, and that really should have included those. It really bothers me that I didn't think about that now.
It wasn't meant as a negative, it was just meant as some positive feedback. And then one thing I thought about too is just your intercoordination. I was trying to look through here if there's some reference to the fact that you coordinate with the state. What's Corey doing now? DMV, we coordinate through the DMV. They do the tests through town. We coordinate with the Prince William County Police Department. Something about
very well. We definitely include that. We have several meetings that we attend, from the Northern Virginia Chiefs to Chief Newsham puts on a meeting for everybody in the area as well, including Fire and Rescue and Commonwealth's Attorney's Office of State Police. We obviously are attending all those meetings, and in intercoordination with emergency services, and we have a meeting coming up Thursday on that down in Fairfax. So I mean, we're definitely a partner with all of our local agencies in every realm of first responders to make sure that we're providing the best service, not only on a daily basis, but in an emergency situation that we can't possibly see, something like in Ohio or even worse than that. You know, to make sure that we have that interagency operability. And we're good to go. We're ready. And this is the type of place that something like that happens. I mean, nobody had ever heard of that little place in Ohio until that train derailment. Now everybody knows about it. And, you know, it's about how you respond to things. And if you've got a canned response and you've got the resources available and you know who to call and you know what to do, it makes things a lot more palatable for the citizens. So we do all those things, but I will include those in the report. Matter of fact, I probably should start including them in a monthly report, just so you know what we're doing on a monthly basis. I mean, it's a lot of meetings, a lot of processes that we go through.
No worries. And assumptions that you create more administrative work. My suggestion was what you talked about. We know you do all that stuff. Is there a way to put a sentence or two in that just talks about the interrelationships with the county and state and everybody else?
Well, no, I think that's a great idea, and it would probably be beneficial even, but put a little reporting back to the council of what the meeting entailed, and so they kind of know a little bit about what's going on at the meeting, not just the fact that we attended one. Yes, sir.
Thanks. Great job. Thank you.
No worries.
And also in this report, don't know if it's necessary or not, but I think a lot of citizens, this is probably the only reference that they ever see of anything that's going on. So besides these accomplishments, any type of accomplishments that the police officers done with awards, certifications, anything that they've achieved over the year period should be highlighted in here as a kudos page for them.
Roger that. I think we will include more of a personal page in the next year's annual report on those things. And I've looked at some other reports to see what I think works and what would work here. And there's some reports that do include, like, almost every person they have in their command, what their status is. And obviously you'll see in the monthly reports that, you know, like with me and Jake attending training, and Officer Burgoon attended instructor training. He's now an instructor last month. That we do put those little tidbits in there, but we'll make sure that's part of the annual report. And, you know, we're reinvesting back into our officers. We've got a good set of officers, and we want to keep them.
Also, his drone certification.
Yeah, there's awesome. Drone certification. That's right. And you'll see in next month's monthly report, we actually did implement the career development program, and did training on that just a few days ago. And of course, we'll be talking about that during budget processes as well. But you know, the guys know what we're looking for, and they have direction and what the training that we're looking for them to have, and what the abilities we want them to have for our community.
Okay, any more questions? Okay, one thing, shout out for Chip. When's he going to be presenting or singing?
Okay, he's got a couple of things going on actually, but we will be at the Valors Award on the 29th, and not only will he be singing, he'll be receiving an award for his actions during the vehicle pursuit last year, and so that's a good thing, and that's why I did put it out. I don't know if anybody can attend, but he's getting 2 kudos, so it's actually neat that he's singing the anthem and actually receiving an award. So
Yeah.
it's good for him.
Yeah.
For him.
Give him applause on that one.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's it. Now we'll move on. Thank you, Chief.
Yes,
We're at the council member time. So we'll start off with the Vice Mayor.
Thank you. So I'm very excited. We are having our first quarter business roundtable on the 21st of March at the hotel from 8:30 to 10 in the morning. We will have Skipper Films there. They will be taking each business that participates and doing like a couple second intro of their business so that we can collaborate and get that out on social media as a town whole. We are Haymarket. And then I am beyond excited to announce that Fox News has reached out to Emily and the town to request a return for a Fox 5 zip trip. We will be doing that on the 16th of June, so bright and early in the morning. And we are having a meeting this Wednesday to coordinate location and what that might all look like. So I'm super excited.
Excellent.
And that's it.
Oh, thank you. Next on the list, Councilmember Leek.
Nothing to report.
Okay, Council Member Ramirez.
Thank you. Just to revisit the, I think I mentioned, congrats to Lieutenant Davis. I did that. Thank you Chief, for taking that Revive training. I do want to add in that there is a community event on March 18th at Piney Branch. It's Super Bingo that they're hosting as a benefit to Haymarket Food Pantry. Thank you, Vice Mayor, for alerting me to that. March 18th.
Piney Branch.
At Piney Branch Elementary, yes. I'm sorry, 1 second, I can give you the exact time. From 3 to 5 p.m. and doors open at 2. If you would like, I can maybe see if staff could share this on our social media so we can get that out there. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Schneider.
So I think June 16th might be around our end-of-year water balloon
The
battle.
15th is our water balloon fight.
Perfect.
And maybe we can change the
So I
day.
was gonna.
That would be awesome. So
Plenty of time to do the one.
I think he wanted it to be filmed.
want to be filmed. That's people, but no, I appreciate the council's indulgence. With 2 kids and teenage kids in sports, the schedules are hectic, so I apologize about the tardiness of my entrances the last couple of meetings. So obviously, too, the topic tonight is passionate. I had some friends come into town over the last couple of months and just remark at the scale of the change that's happening on the bookends of the town. And so that's where that sort of sense of urgency is coming from. And I hope for the council to be deliberate, but I really want us to lead and get to the how-to and really put some solid plans in place to be able to move forward. I know we have to work through the bureaucratic process. I know it's a slow process, but excited to see about town hall coming, the town center coming out of the ground, moving forward on the sidewalk. I mean, I think those are all improvements that are necessary and really I think will shape the town and hopefully serve. And just seeing all the new faces. I mean, today with the first warm day, we had a parade of people walking down Washington Street, new faces coming out of the new neighborhoods. So I think we're going to see hopefully a new interest by new residents in a lot of the activities that we do, maybe the leadership roles that we need. So it's an interesting time to be on the council. We've not had all these opportunities that we have right now between financially and the staff that we have and the investment that's being made. So I hope we can continue that momentum through going forward and through the summer. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Passanello.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So first I want to say, welcome back, Emily. Good to have you back. Good to be back. Yep, and we expect to see pictures of Shepard up on the screen from time to time as he grows. Again, welcome back. So I want to thank Cheryl, it was Gianelli, for coming today and introducing herself to the council. Had an interesting conversation with her as I was walking through town. I saw her doing her windows, and I didn't see her hand, which was hidden. And I asked her, I said, if you have extra time, I have a bunch of windows down the street. And then she turned and I saw her hand. And, I felt really bad, but it's cute. So I guess that was fate today. There will be a meet and greet on March 11th. We all met Deshandra Jefferson here. She will be here at the museum on Saturday at 10 a.m. All are invited to hear alternatives in Prince William County politics. And I just want to say thank you, Mr. Mayor and council and staff. I think that was a wonderful thing for recognizing Bob Weir for his years of dedicated service. We may not always have agreed, but I'll tell you what, his passion is there just like everybody else's, and he's done a great job over the last 2.5 years. Ken said it really well, and I think he's going to serve the town and the community well as a supervisor, and we'll have to see what happens in the next year. So with that, I'm done, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Now it's my turn. Okay, first thing I want to announce is, of course, I have the Mayor's Walk coming up this Saturday, 9 o'clock, anybody who wants to participate. And I want to expand on what you were talking about with Bob. I mean, Bob gave some positive news in his citizens' time, talking about the connector sidewalks. I mean, this is an effort that the staff and council has been doing over the past term, trying to engage the resources of Prince William County. I mean, the sidewalks is one evidence because we got money allocated to get this done now so we can move forward and connect to Somerset and Heathcote. The storm water management program that they're going to be looking at, the quiet zone that they reached out to have us assist with. I mean, these are all positive things that have happened over the terms. And now that we have Bob as our Gainesville representative for the county, we have the opportunity to use it more. Please come up with some ideas in which we can use Bob to our benefit. And on that note, I'm done.
Mayor, I'd move to adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion and second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Thanks for